Swallow from 2019 is a film about a woman who is pregnant and develops a case of pica. If you don't know what pica is, it's when you eat or swallow unusual objects as a form of coping or self-medicating unresolved traumas. And this flick goes around in horror circles, though I wouldn't really call it a horror movie in a certain sense. I will say a few good things about this movie is the lead performance from Haley Bennett was very well done. I'd love to see her in some other stuff. And there is some great cinematography and camera work, especially used to portray losing control to your temptations. There's one scene in particular where she's about to swallow a certain object and she's sitting on the couch trying to control herself. And when she finally succumbs to that temptation, the camera goes handheld mode when for most of the film it's very static and very even in the frame. The change in camera motion was a great way to portray that feeling when you finally succumb to temptation and lose control. Unfortunately, what this movie is a heavy-handed commercial for abortion, and the only way that they could make this palatable is to have the other characters in the movie be exceptionally cruel to our main character, and I'm talking about every single character in this movie. There actually is a good story here, but about halfway through the film, when its intentions become clear, it is so heavy-handed and didactic that it basically falls off a cliff, and I ended up hating it. I went into this movie hoping for something that was disturbing and gross, and this film was certainly disturbing and gross, but not in the ways I was expecting. Avoid this evil film at all costs. What Dreams May Come from 1998 is a fantasy movie about the afterlife. It stars Robin Williams, Annabella Sciorra, and Cuba Gooding Jr. I never saw this one when it was out. It came out at a time when I was in high school and all the special effects movies of the late 90s were starting to boom, like The Matrix and The Cell and all movies like this. And this is one of them for sure. There are some amazing things in here. It's about Robin Williams, who plays a doctor who is married and has 2 children. Early in the film, unfortunately, his 2 children are killed in a car wreck. And then shortly after that, he is killed in a car wreck, leaving his wife alone to grieve her entire family. The film then goes on to explore grief from the perspective of the person who has died, which I found very interesting. The special effects are great, and the environments are all based on works of art, as our main character's wife is an artist. So that's the lens that everything is viewed through. I'm not sure if the interpretations of the afterlife in this movie were based on any particular faith, but it all seems very generic to me, and it was more about the general feelings and not any particular kind of theology. There is one particularly challenging scene to watch where Robin Williams' character debates the nature of suicides to Cuba Gooding Jr.'s character, and also the director's commentary on the DVD was interesting to listen to because it was recorded when Robin Williams was still alive. Robin Williams wasn't on the commentary, but he was spoken of in the present tense. Having said all that, this movie is meant to be very heavy and emotional, but it just didn't hit me that way. I thought it was beautiful. I thought it was a little bit slow paced, but not in a bad way. I didn't find myself getting bored or anything. And it is beautiful from start to finish. I'm definitely going to keep it in the collection, but I don't think I would rank it as an all-time classic or one of my favorite movies, but I'm glad I got to check it out. Skateland is a coming-of-age film set in 1980s Texas, where our main character works at a roller skating rink, and it is the most vanilla movie I have ever seen. It goes through all the tropes of a coming-of-age film. There are certain plot points that take place, but nothing ever feels high stakes, even when things are high stakes. This is a movie that I found myself just drifting through. Mind you, when I'm watching a movie, I give it my full attention. My phone is in a different room. I will lock in and stay with a movie, come what may. But as I was watching this one, I found my mind drifting. In the first section of the movie, it's hard to figure out who are the main characters and who you're supposed to latch onto and follow, though it does kind of right the ship about halfway through, and it ends on a pretty nice note. Nothing about the movie sort of rises to the occasion. It does have a lot of great music in it, and I don't think I've ever seen Ashley Greene in a movie, and she is quite a babe. I will definitely check out anything else that she's in. And for now, this will stay in the collection, but when I need room on my Blu-ray shelf, I don't think I'm going to need to keep this one. Dream Journal 2016 to 2019 by John Rafman is an experimental computer animation film that, from what I understand, is a compilation of shorter videos that John Rafman put on YouTube. This guy has his fans, and I was tempted to go down the rabbit hole and see more of his work and explore his YouTube channel, but for now I just watched the 90-minute version of the Dream Journal project, which is available on YouTube with no ads, and I will link it in the description of this video if you want to check it out yourself. This is an extremely strange journey that basically is a visualization of when a friend of yours is describing to you a dream that he or she had. So basically anything goes. It's very wild. There is somewhat of a main character, in fact a couple of main characters that are present throughout the whole movie, and you may be able to interpret something of a plot here, but for me this was more sit back and enjoy the ride. There's great music over the whole thing, electronic style music, and the computer animation is, I would say, PlayStation 3 era. I'm not exactly sure of the exact technology that was used, although that does give it a certain vibe. I'm not sure that was exactly the point. Now, as I was watching this, there was some weird psychosexual stuff going on here. It doesn't get super explicit or pornographic, but it had me kind of scratching my head and wondering what was going on with Mr. John Rafman. If you're looking for something that is really out there, then I recommend this, but for the general person who just wants to watch a cool movie, this might not be for you. Loose is a German horror movie that clocks in at just over an hour. It's an hour and 10 minutes long. It's a demon possession type movie about a cab driver named Luz who goes to a police station to confess to something. We also follow Luz's former friend Nora, who apparently has crashed in Luz's cab before Luz jumped out of it to go to the police station to make her confession. It's a strange setup, but it starts to come together via a hypnosis session in the police station. And I'm realizing as I talk through it that me trying to explain the plot of this movie doesn't do it any service. In fact, this is the kind of movie that when the credits start rolling, you'll be wondering if you interpreted the events of the film correctly. In fact, I watched the movie twice to make sure that what I thought was going on was correct. This movie will leave you guessing and wondering what details were important and how to interpret them. This movie does a lot with very little. There's only 4 or 5 people in the cast, and there's only about 2 locations where this film is shot in. I especially love the performance of Nora by Julia Reidler. She had to do a lot of things in this role and portray different characters being inhabited by other characters, let's say, and she did it very convincingly. This film was shot on 16mm film, and it gives it a 70s grainy, atmospheric kind of feel that feels very authentic. I highly enjoyed this movie, and so did my wife. It's not perfect, but for something that clocks in at only 70 minutes, it really packs a punch, and I'm glad I watched it twice to pick up on those additional details. And that's going to do it for this one. I really appreciate you watching to the end. I want to welcome all the new subscribers, and if you like these short movie reviews, there's a whole playlist of them on my channel. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.